Got it.
Got it.
Great. Okay, Lisa is, let me admit Lisa first. So here we go.
She's here.
So welcome everyone. My name is Riny Russ. Oh, there's Lisa. Hi, Lisa.
Oh,
We were just
another
wondering.
Healy, yay, Healy.
Hi, Lisa. You're here. Fantastic.
Hi,
You're
Lisa.
here.
Nice to meet you. Ross was just saying that you know, she thought that you're coming on board, but I just pressed the record button. So again, I just want to say welcome everyone. My name is Riny Russ. This mastermind is called You Deserve It. It's about my book. The topics are normally regarding limiting beliefs and self-sabotage and how to emerge as your best version. So that's what this is about. So welcome again, everyone. Normally what I'd like to do first is just to read a paragraph or two from my book right here, if you could see it. You Deserve It. And this is chapter 3, page 44. And I'm going to read a paragraph two and then kind of discuss the topic, and then I'll open up for discussion so everyone can participate. So this is chapter 3, how to produce results. Your thoughts in your mind are the starting point to produce the result that you want. Your thoughts cause your feelings, which in turn affect your actions, and actions drive results. This means that what you have or have not been thinking causes your results. So the starting point of everything is your thoughts, basically. When you think of limiting thoughts, you feel limited. When you think of confident thoughts, you feel more confident. Your thoughts affect your physiology. Your feelings are expressed in your action. When you feel confident, you are energized and you take positive action. When you feel sad and depressed, you don't feel like taking any action. Your actions cause your results. So that's how far I'm going to read. And because in life, a lot of our challenges a lot of it is related to our mindset. Lisa, I know we never really met before. I know your name, but and also Suzanne, many of you already know, I retired recently from San Diego State University. I was IT director, so I had a very responsible position, very successful. But then after retirement, I was lost. I've always worked 9 to 5, basically all my life. And then, once I come out of that, being an entrepreneur is totally a different story. I went from one thing to the next, one shiny object to the next. I lost direction. I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I knew I wanted to help others and make a difference, but I didn't know what that looked like. So I went from one thing to the next. No, that's not the one. I went to the next thing. I did the e-commerce, said, no, that's mostly for myself. That's not it. So I put that. And then I went to real estate. I used to invest in real estate. I keep going back to the things that I was familiar with. That's not it. I ended up becoming a life coach and wrote this book. And here I am. And I joined Noble Goldman, and here I am with this mastermind. I started with the Think and Grow Rich and finally emerged to this one. But what I'm finding is that when I found that I was lost, I was lost. Here I was successful and I was lost, totally lost. Wasn't clear about my direction. And I think a lot of it when I quit and I said, oh, I think that wasn't for me. And then I go to the next thing. Part of that, or a lot of that, is really fear also. Fear of the unfamiliarity. I was afraid to fail. I was afraid that I didn't have what it takes to do all these. As an entrepreneur, you have a lot more responsibility. When I worked at San Diego State, they had the infrastructure, they had the HR, they had all these, everything was provided for me. So, and when you work on your own, you have to create your path. You have to motivate yourself. So it's really important that that's why we're in a mastermind today with like-minded people who supported each other, because it's really, really hard. So I guess with this thing that I was talking about, how everything starts with your thoughts and that your action or inaction produce your results. So in everything that we do, regardless how big or small, it starts with our mindset. So when you are afraid, fear is what was the thing, Russ? It's false evidence.
Evidence appearing real.
Appearing, thank you, appearing real. Because whatever we think in our head when we're afraid, that becomes real. We have a lot of paradigm. We have our paradigm in our subconscious mind that we develop since childhood from our parents, from our teachers, from the society, the environment, our condition. We don't think we have the money. We don't think we have what it takes. We don't have the experience. We don't have the knowledge. But in truth is, we have what it takes. We are enough. We don't think that. But a lot of times it's our self-image, especially when you're presenting something new, when you are in a new business, it is very important that you believe you can do it. It's important that you believe you have what it takes. You have what it takes. Because Russ, I learned this from Russ. He said, when you're presenting, you're part of Noble Goldman and you're trying to promote the bulk. He said, I'm new, I'm just beginning. You know what? When you don't believe in yourself, people are not going to buy from you. People are not going to join you. So whatever it is you decide to do, I think mindset is number one. When I was director of IT, when I was doing recruiting for my candidates, my staff members, it's beyond the skill and knowledge. Many times they have the skill and knowledge, but what I was looking for is the attitude. I was looking for that mindset. How do they communicate with me? Do they believe that they could do it? They're willing to learn and they will do what it takes. Because many times when you're trying to promote something, first of all, you need to identify that they have the problem. Are they the right candidate for you? Are they seeking what you're offering? Do you have a match? Do they have the pain point? What are you trying to solve? Are they wanting to be solved to help you to solve the problem? And do you have the solution for that? That's from Jim Bridge, by the way, Russ and Ben. Jim, that's what I learned from. Do they have the pain point, and do they want to have the solution, and do they want to have that problem solved? And you are, whatever it is you're doing, just remember you're trying to solve that problem for them, for your potential audience. So with that, I would like to open this up for discussion. And thank you again for being here. And Kobe, you have your hand raised. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, really, those are the same questions we should be asking about whether that person that we come across is someone we want on our team, whether they're in the right mindset. Like I've scheduled an appointment with one woman 3 times to do a Zoom with her. She's cancelled at the last minute 3 times. She's not the right person for me. She's not committed. 3 strikes and you're out as far as I'm concerned. You have not qualified. So it's exactly what you're saying. And I didn't know that at first. I can't remember who taught me that. I really can't. But I just don't bother anymore. If someone's not ready, then it's just not it. So it's the same sort of interview process, isn't it?
You're absolutely right, Kobe. That's absolutely right. That's why Raz is my co-host here, because again, I learned from him. He always say, when you ask the question, are you open to it? Are you open? Because you don't want this resistance, to have a resistance. Like if they're not, this is not for everybody. Whatever it is that you're offering is not for everybody. If they're not open, you move on. Don't be so attached, because I used to be, when I was promoting what I was trying to promote, that I was very attached to the results. And as a result of that, I became disappointed and I quit. because I was so attached to the result. When you're trying to promote anything, try to be unattached to the results. I know that's kind of a hard thing to say, but it is very true. Not everyone wanted your solution. This is not for whatever it is you're offering. You're doing a service and you're trying to help other people. And if they're not open, move on, go to the next person. With this, I'd like to ask Russ to give his comments since he's my co-host here.
I was going to request to go last because I always wind up talking too much, but
That's true. Not too long, Russ.
well, this is already a rich conversation. So a couple things occur for me. One is about your thoughts. There's a beautiful quote from a book by Richard Bach called Jonathan Livingston Seagull. If you've never read it or you've never heard it, and the Richard Harris version of it on tape is the best. But there's a quote from that entire book that stays with me and has ever since I first heard it in 1980. And that quote is, break the chains of your thought and you break the chains of your body too. Because it's about a seagull who wants something more from themselves than just going and getting food. You know, what all the other seagulls do is they live to get food, and then they do that every day. He wants to learn how to fly. He already knows how to fly, but he wants to take it to the next level. Now that's true of us too. You said earlier, Riny, that we are, I think you said we are enough, which is very much so. And there's people that have themselves as less than, and you gave an example of how people say, I'm involved, I'm with, I just got into. And that language detaches ourselves really from the power of what we're trying to create, because we are co-creators of it. But I say we are not enough. I think we're more than enough. I think we're more than we think we are. And unless we start viewing ourselves that way, unless we start reaching for as much as we can be, which is a very empowering place to operate from. You can't be less than and be reaching for more than. You can't, it's one or the other. So for me, that's important. And Kobe, I love you. I love the things that you say. And you dropped another gem today about someone who you invited 3 times and they didn't show, or they canceled 3 times. So one of my best coaches told me once, no communication is a communication. Okay, so somebody bailing at the last minute or declining or coming up with something 3 times in a row, that's a communication. And the communication is, you're right, they're not ready, they're not open, they're not a candidate. But we have a tendency to persist and take that personally, like there's something that we're not doing, and maybe if we just did this, we could let go of that. And you, Riny, again dropped a pearl when you talked about being attached to the result. Now, it's funny how when something's important to us, when we're going to get something, that's where the attachment lives, in what we get. So have you noticed if you recommend Think and Grow Rich to somebody, you don't follow up to see if they read it. You're not like, did you read it yet? Did you read it yet? Did you read it yet? You just tell them how much it did for you, what an amazing book it is. And they either read it or they don't, but you don't follow up on that. It's the same thing about a movie or a book or a restaurant, whatever you're saying. That's the cliche about, oh, it's like, well, we don't behave the same way. We're not attached to what somebody does. We're just totally into the contribution of it. We contribute, we put it out there, and then we let them decide. That's how to operate for results. Because when you're not attached, people are attracted. They're attracted to the idea that it's not about you, it's about them, and they get the contribution that way. The harder we push, the more it becomes about us. So anyway, that's all I have to say for now. Is that short enough?
Thank you, Russ. That was amazing. Thank you so much. You're always amazing with your contribution. But just remember, we don't manifest what we want. We manifest what we believe. We manifest what we believe. Napoleon Hill said, whatever you can think of and conceive, whatever you can think of and believe, you will conceive. That's what it is. But believing alone is not enough. You cannot just believe, you have to take action. Yes, it is the law of attraction that if you produce the energy of lack, what you're getting is lack. If you're thinking you cannot do it, guess what you get? You cannot do it, and it becomes your reality. If you think you can do it, and what happened is you can do it because you believe you can do it. It's really, really important. You don't manifest what you want. You manifest what you believe. I see this in Val. She wanted a car. She wanted a Jeep. She had obstacles. She struggled to get that car. But you know what? She was determined to get it. And she got the car. But anyway, I see Kobe and Nancy with their hands up. Kobe, go ahead. I think you had your hands up first.
I was very lazy this morning. It was 5 a.m. and Ruth Elizabeth had her masterclass on. So I stayed in bed, took my video off and listened. And I have finished reading her book, but she talked about something called creation wrapping. So she said that, and I can see that I do this, so that's why I'm sharing it, that we set something up that we want, but we also put all these conditions on it. And she used the example of one of her students wanting to have a NutriBullet. And instead of saying, I want the NutriBullet and trusting that that NutriBullet would come, she'd say, well, my birthday's next week. I'll get my sister to buy me a NutriBullet for my birthday. And she said, that's like putting all these conditions around what you want. And in a way, that's the same as our beliefs as well. We're putting out there what we want, but we've got all these sub rules, these things, these underlying things that are going on that are just either not allowing it to happen, or one of the meditations I used to listen to was what was it called? I can't think of the name of it right now, but it was about looking 3 years for what do you want in 3 years from now. So you've already said to yourself in your unconscious mind, you can't have this for 3 years. And all of those things, and we're kind of just creating these conditions for ourselves, and we don't even realize what we're doing, and we're doing it because somebody told us that's how we should be setting our goals. We're putting these limitations when we actually believe that we're working towards what we want. And I can just see how I've done that all my life. Just all of these things, all these conditions I've created for myself. And you know what? It can be darn depressing when you realize what you've done to yourself, but no, I'm just not doing that anymore. So, moving on from here. Anyway, that's just, yeah.
Good for you, Kobe. That's awesome. Yes, we can be self-sabotaging. That's why, this topic is so important, because we do that to ourselves. We are our own worst enemy. So yes, Nancy, you're next. Thank you, Kobe.
Yeah, Kobe, that's a really important point. How we wrap ourselves in, Ruth talks about that, that's what we're creating. So I was watching a video from Greg Braden yesterday, and this healer took him out to pray for rain, and he stepped in the meditation circle, and he visualized rain coming down on him and his feet muddy, and then he stepped out of the circle, and he's like, well, you didn't say anything. How did you pray for rain? And he goes, no, you don't pray by asking, you pray by visualizing. So he could smell the rain and feel the rain. And 2 hours later it rained after 5-year drought. Why didn't you do it before? I don't know. But the thing is, you have to visualize it. So my daughter, who's gonna have twins next month, I'm gonna teach her again how to visualize a perfect birth. So she's gonna have to visualize that, feel it, see it, teach her to actually taste, what it might, the room might like, things, in her mouth, and smell everything. And Yaz does a beautiful class on visualization, which is absolutely lovely. I love to go to her class. And she just really gets you immersed into what your imagination is. So that is so important. We have to realize that we are more powerful than we are. And when we create that wonderful situation and visualize it and live it and breathe it and taste it and hear it and know it, then that's, I believe, when we're going to have the most success with what we're going to do.
Thank you, Nancy. You're absolutely right. Instead of saying that we will get that, visualize it that you are getting that. I love that. You're absolutely right. Thank you. And Binta, and hi, Mark. It's your turn, Binta. Glad to have you both.
Well, really, it's the power of the subconscious mind. There was, little did I know about what I was putting in my subconscious mind when I came to this country. Because I used to always tell myself, I wish I can go to a big university where they can teach me so many things. I wish I had gone to school. I wish I did. But now everything, and I used to always think, I wish I could have somebody who will teach me about everything that I need to know. But now I feel like I'm in the best university ever because of what I was thinking about. Everything that I really thought about is what is happening, because I have so many people in my life who are teaching me so much about myself and how to see how to get what I want in life. And every day is a learning process. Every day I'm doing that. And today I was in conversation with my beautiful friend Val. Suzanne, by the way, Val is the one who brought me into this community, Valerie Pagan. So today I was in, she's my champion. She's always motivating me. There's something that I've been wanting to do. There's something that I've been wanting to do, but I kept saying, I'm waiting. And today she was like, you gotta do it. So guess what? I made up my mind, I'm gonna do it. We'll talk about it later, but yeah, it's all about how you perceive yourself. I mean, for me anyways, it's really amazing how, starting with yoga, that I never thought I could be a yoga teacher because I couldn't do what those people do. But going through it now, I just want to share my voice and share my light with people. So that's where I am, and it's a learning process. It's just about how you program your mind and what you tell your mind.
Thank you, Binta. You're so beautiful. I love you. And you just, like always, you take action, not only just the talk, but you're the type of person who actually show up in meetings and take action. So I love that. Thank you for your share. And of course, Valerie, she was here in Noble Goldman when I first started. She was my co-host for the Think and Grow Rich Mastermind. So grateful for you, Val. And Russ, you're next.
And as long as we're on Val, you brought up a great example of something that I want to talk about, and I want to put it out first that this is my opinion. But before I state my opinion about a certain word, I want to ask this question: has there ever been, and I don't know the answer to this, but I'm guessing that there hasn't. Do you think there's ever been an Olympic gold medalist ever who didn't visualize themselves on the top of a podium while their national anthem was being played as they stood before the world? Do you think there's ever been one? I don't think there ever has been one. Now that draws me to my point. I've got an issue with the word want. And I'll tell you why. Because want is synonymous with lack. Okay. There's a beautiful story. I know you're familiar with it. It was originally written as Scrooge by Charles Dickens, but it's a Christmas carol. And just before Scrooge meets the ghost of Christmas yet to come, and he's still with the ghost of Christmas present, before he leaves him, this glorious Christmas ghost opens his robe, and beneath his robe are two children, and they're both starving, wasting away. One is a girl and one is a boy. And he says, behold these children. This girl is ignorance, and this boy is want. Fear them both, but most of all, fear this boy. Now, we want lots of stuff. People, we're even told and taught sometimes that if you want it bad enough, but I have come to the opinion and the belief that we don't always get what we want. You know, sometimes we find out when we start wanting it and working for it, we really don't want that. That's not what we wanted at all. Okay. So wanting is coming from a place, I say, that isn't very powerful, and the universe doesn't move for what we want. Val didn't want a Jeep. She was having a Jeep. She was committed to a Jeep, and she would have the Jeep just like she wanted the Jeep to be, but there's a difference between wanting something and being committed to it. We do things when we're committed to something that we're not willing to do or we're not moved to do when we just want something. Now, do we always get what we're committed to? No, probably not. But I say that being committed to something has an entirely different energy than wanting it. And the universe moves for what we're committed to. It's like, I'm having this, or you will drag my cold, dead body out of the room. You know, this is the way it's going to be. That's how it is when we're committed to something. You know, one of my coaches asked me one time, he said, Russ, do you love your daughter? And I said, well, of course, she's my whole world. And he says, will she ever starve? I said, no. He said, prove it. Prove to me that she won't ever starve. And I thought about that and I said, well, I can't. And he said, yes, you can't prove it with evidence, but I know you and I know how you feel about Brooke, and Brooke will never starve because you're committed to that. Because being committed isn't a position where you need to support it with evidence. Being committed to something is an existential act of courage called a stand. And a stand has no resistance because it happens out of what you say, out of what you're being, out of what you throw out there and say, this is it. This is a line that I'm not going to cross. This is what I'm having. And it's that kind of power, and the difference between that and kind of wanting something. I want to be, the lottery lines are full of people that want money, full of them. It's not getting them any closer to it. Their chances are greater to be, you know, eaten by a great white shark and a grizzly bear in the same afternoon than hitting the lottery. All right. But boy, they'll buy the tickets. Anyway, do you get my point? My point is want has, well, it's another word for lack. At least in Old English it is. Want. The world is full of want. You ever heard that? The starving and the poor, they want. That's want. And it's not an empowering distinction. Being committed to something brings about the action, Riny, that calls forth possibility. Action is what makes things happen.
You're absolutely right, Russ. Thank you so much for that. Because when we want something, it's as if we were just saying, if I get it, that's fine. If I don't, that's fine. You're not committed. You're not committed to the results. You're not persistent. You're not consistent. And your action, persistent consistency is what makes the difference. Yeah. So thank you for that, Russ.
Welcome.
And Val, yay, glad to see you here. Go ahead.
Lisa was raising her hand before me, so go ahead,
Was it?
Lisa. Lisa was raising
Oh.
her hand before me.
Okay, Lisa, I'm sorry, I didn't see that. Go
That's
ahead, Lisa, I'm
okay.
so sorry.
Yeah, it's just a few thoughts that come in this morning is that, you know, and from a recent course I've done as well, is, you know, we don't have to know the how. It's just being crystal clear on our vision and that end result. And as that, you know, as Russ said, is taking action, you know, how it unfolds. If our vision is to, you know, ideally you don't make a dollar value either, but to, you know, be a team leader of 20 people, you don't have to know how they're coming in. It might not be from your own direct action. It might be from a recommendation because someone saw you stepping up. You know, people, the universe provides always. And so it's one thing. And the other thing is based on the topic of today is the power of the mind. We've got a very interesting dynamic in our family happening at the moment. And my sister has been diagnosed with terminal cancer. And there's a majority of the family who are preparing for, you know, the end days, and because it's quite significant, and the spread. But my sister is like, well, that's not going to happen. You know, I'm choosing a natural way of healing my body, and the end result is I'm around forever. You know, it's just a given. But there's the energy from the family going, oh, well, you know, I'm going to, you know, we'll build a house and she can come and stay with us. And it's just really interesting that the power of the mind and the intention, and just sticking with your intended outcome, and it will happen. And if it doesn't, that's just beautiful as well. But it happens in the way that we want it to happen.
Thank you, Lisa. That's beautiful. And it's so true. Sometimes when we're reaching for something, we're reaching for the star. But Russ, you said it again. I quoted Russ a lot. The stars are not meant to be reached. That it's just that, you know, you're making progress in life. I mean, even if you don't reach that goal, would it be better for you to at least to have something to look forward to actually go and strive for that, than having the defeat in your life and just, you know, like you already lost the war before you started. So I absolutely admire your sister and her courage. So thank you for your share. Thank you for that. And Val, you're next.
I hope that my connection is going to be stable enough so I'm not cut off. Let me know, you guys, okay? Since we have this entire conversation, I want to go back to certain points that I wrote that struck my mind. First of all, with the people that we get in contact with, and the fact that do they qualify? Because our community has standards and code of ethics and all kinds of, but it's for the better good of everyone, of each one of us and everyone in the community. So I know in my sales position with the company, the word qualify has an impact in people's mind. Because when you tell them, let me see, give me a few minutes, let me see if you can qualify. Qualify? Why? Of course I want to qualify, you know, and even if you tell them, well, I'm not sure, you know, but.
Uh-oh.
She's having
They
internet.
want to be part. I think it might be more engaging. So question, do you think it's a good idea? Is my internet
It's
A little bit.
cutting off?
a little shaky.
You're okay now.
Keep going.
Okay. So that was my my first point, as far as surrounding ourselves with the people that we want to partner with, that we think are going to be a great addition, not only in our own network, but also in Noble Goldman. Then we talked about, so keep that thought, Russ, okay, to answer me, but we talked about also having more than enough. I started writing this down every day. And it really shifts your mind from a position of lack, saying, although I don't know what tomorrow is about, I know I'm gonna have more than enough. You know, millions at this point in time, but there's always more than enough. And by that, it tranquilized my mind. It calms my mind, and being open myself up actually more to come, and focusing on that. And that's why I had the understanding yesterday when that was yesterday with Mark, why Noble Goldman works with collaboration within the vault. We work with collaboration instead of competition, because as long as we hold each other accountable to pay our membership to be together and to share our knowledge, to share our gifts, and be loving what we do, I think that's a wonderful way to live. And that is creating an abundant flow, because there's no more worry. There's no more worry. Everything is all on passive income, because we're accountable to each other to stay there. And so I really got the feeling of like, wow, we are really in this all together. And the last part is, there's a scripture that I really, it's about the want, actually. You know, God is the source of our supply. Dr. Joseph Murphy, God is a source of my supply. I shall not be in want, because I have everything already.
I shall not want. That's in the Lord's Prayer. It's on Lord's Prayer.
Yeah.
The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want.
Right.
I just thought of that. That's absolutely right. Yeah.
True.
So that was the little thoughts that I got, you know, from the different conversation that we had.
Thank you, Val. That was beautiful. That's wonderful. It's
Wow.
so true. You know, the universe, God, will conspire once we have our intention, we made known for our intention, our concern and commitment, in Russ's term. You know, that's what it is. Like Lisa was saying, we don't have to know all the hows and how to get there. You made known your intention. You focus. It's like buying a car. Once you know which car it is that you want, or you buy a car, you start seeing that same car on the road. It's kind of like that. That now, you know, if you just focus and you take action, and even when you don't know how to get there, you will eventually get there. Your next step will be kind of made known to you by the universe, by God. So yes, with that, Kobe, and then after that, I'd like Suzanne to hear from Suzanne, because in my mastermind, I'd like everyone to have an opportunity to say something, and including Mark too. So Kobe, go ahead.
I wasn't going to say much other than just to say that hope is another word that I feel. Hope and try are two words that I am working towards eliminating from my vocabulary. Hope means, well, you know, I'm not there, probably never going to be there, but I hope. And try has the same sort of energy to it, that I try, I'm on this treadmill and I'm trying kind of thing. So our vocabulary and words that we have commonly used in our lives, I just believe that slash them or liquid paper them out of our vocabulary, because they are not hopeful. They are not helpful.
Thank you for that, Kobe. It's so true. We have to kind of revise whenever in my coaching certification, one of the things that coach always say, whenever your paradigm comes up, is you stop, you take a pause, and you said, up until now. You know, that was the case, but no more. And you change your vocabulary, just the opposite, you know, from lack to abundance. So thank you for that, Kobe. Great insight. And Suzanne, you're next. We'd like to hear from you. Let us know what you're thinking so far about this conversation.
Absolutely, yeah. So first, let me say that all that I hear, it's moving. It's just a great conversation, great topics, and two things that I want to talk to is one is you just mentioned the power, the intention, the power of intention. Just a little story. Many years ago, I used to travel a lot. And I think it was in early 2000s, and I got somewhere. Actually, it was Memphis, Tennessee. I got there, I got into the hotel, and I had not, I didn't like traveling because it took me away from my friends. It took me to places that I did not know. And now I have been, here in the United States all my life. I didn't really want to experience new things all the time. I wanted to be where I'm comfortable. So I was not happy about traveling. And when I got there, I turned on the TV. And the first thing that came up is when you change the way you look, the things you look at change. And that was Dr. Wayne Dyer talking to, it was PBS. He was promoting his Power of Intention book. And that word changed my life. And from there, I looked up the book, I read the book. And for some reason, I connected to what was happening within me, that I had set the intentions to just not be happy. What if I change the way I'm looking at what I'm doing? What if I change the way I'm looking at traveling, being in different places all the time? What if I see the good in it? So that really helped me to, the power intention, I think, is very important, and we don't usually think about it. We don't usually think about what's going on within ourselves. And that takes me to my next point. Having born in a different country, in a different culture, of course, like Binta in Central Africa, you really grow up, like specifically to my culture, you grow up being taught not to discover yourself. You're supposed to listen to your elders. You're supposed to listen to others. Even going back to when you ask help. Just recently, now I realize that, like recently, one of my uncle asked me to help him with something, but all they come up with is like, hey, I need you to help me. But with what? How do you want me to help you? Give me some specific. What would you like? You want me to tell you how to help you, but what if you tell me exactly how you're feeling, what you want, what you like to see? So that goes back, growing up in a culture where you're not taught to discover yourself, to put yourself out there, it hurts your confidence as well. So throughout my professional and personal experience here, I came to learn that. In America, you better say what you want. Nobody's gonna come and tell you, hey, this is how you're supposed to do this. No, you need to figure out. And if you need help, then you say, hey, I would like to help with this. This is what I'm thinking of. So, and I feel that it ties into what you've all been talking about. And it really, now where I am in my life, I look back, I'm like, who knew that everything resides within me? Who knew that I have all the power? It's a work in progress, and it's something that one has to really constantly stay on top of. But if the whole world knew that the power, the high power reside within themselves, then the world will be in different place.
Thank you, Suzanne. That's awesome. I absolutely agree with you. And a lot of time we don't voice our intention it's related to our self-image when we say we don't believe, because we create this identity about the sense of deserving or the sense of lack, the sense of we don't have what it takes, you know. So that intention, it's so important, because that's also kind of portraying where you are with your self-image and your identity and the story you're telling yourself. And so thank you so much for your share.
Yeah.
And next is Mark. We want to hear from you, Mark.
His roll of eyes.
My brain is fried this afternoon, but I'll try.
No try. Remember the word try.
Yes.
Love that.
Well, you landed your
Love
shit on
put
that
him in
one,
his
Mark.
place.
Remember what Kobe said.
I actually, when you guys were talking, I think Russ was talking about the word want. I think I was thinking of something, which is that the fact that whenever something comes from a selfish, disconnected part of yourself, that's the want most of the time, right? And so when this, even when you get what you want, which happens, you know, you get what you want, a little while goes away, and then all of a sudden you're bored with what you wanted, which means you can kind of identify the thing coming from the negative place just by the way you feel about it eventually. I don't think I've ever wanted something that was important. You know, I guess what I mean is anything I wanted that was not very important really ended up not of great value to me eventually, you know. So that was the one thing about the want word and the concept of wanting. Riny, when you were also, I was thinking also at the beginning when you were explaining how you were, you know, at the university, and you had this position at the university, and eventually you stopped doing that, and that's when you went through that period of, you know, questioning yourself and questioning what you were doing. I think whenever we get either in a like an unbalanced situation or you know, a crisis situation, sort of, you kind of like put yourself in a position where you have to make those self-reflections all the time, you know, and that's when you either get crushed or you get creative about it. It's even sometimes, like we had that little hurricane, so we were for 8 days, we were in a different situation, and I could tell I was like taking stock of a lot of stuff, and I was thinking, you know, I was like shifting from being like, oh man, my life is really worthless, to no, I'm doing this, and I can't do this, and I can't do that, and doing that. So I think sometimes those moments of uncertainty are really the most rich moments to experience new things also. That's it. Now I'm fried.
Pretty good.
No more trying, Mark. Thank you for your share. That was awesome. Your observation is absolutely right, that you know, how your mindset, it's a mindset, right? It's a mindset thing, how you view it. Instead of trying, you change that vocabulary and make it into, you know, and your experiences cause you to think differently, especially in the hurricane situation, right? So thank you for your share. And Russ, you're next.
I'm next.
Yes,
Wow.
I'd like to hear your feedback on all of these.
My
everyone.
final feedback are on these two words, hope and try, is that's come out since I was talking. And, you know, trying is a backdoor for responsibility. My coach used to say, you know, try to pick up the phone. You either pick up the phone or you don't pick up the phone. Everybody knows what Yoda says about try, but the point is there's no such thing. That try is a way that you can reason why you didn't do something. That's the only word. And I remember something, I'm always quoting my mother, God bless her. She was the most wonderful and brilliant woman. If I ever told her I was trying, my mother's response would be, yes, very trying. you know. And in terms of hope, I would, hope is a word that was invented for putting responsibility again outside of yourself. You hope somebody else will come through. You hope God will answer your prayer. You hope, don't, whatever you do, don't give up hope. Don't give up hope. Well, you know what? If you've ever read Milton's Paradise Lost, the gates above hell read, "Abandon all hope, ye who enter here." Okay. So it's like, and it's not that hope is a bad thing. It doesn't have to be in the realm of good or bad. It's just that it doesn't serve. It doesn't serve us because it takes away from our power and our responsibility. And Riny, this isn't meant as a correction because you were right on the mark. But when I mentioned about what my dad said about the stars, it's a distinction that when I was a little boy, I asked him when he had me outside and we were looking at Sputnik. I said, he was saying, one day we'll be on other planets and one day we'll be out in space. And I said, Dad, do you think we'll ever touch the stars? Because that was an expression I'd heard. We're going to touch the stars. And he said, son, maybe the stars weren't meant to be touched. They were meant to be reached for, which means that when we reach, we stretch. There's no way to reach without stretching. So if we think in terms of stretching ourselves, stretching beyond what we know is possible. I loved what you said earlier. I think it was Lisa, when you said, getting comfortable with not knowing how. You don't know how to be successful. Nobody ever that was successful knowing how to be successful. There's no successful before successful. So the more comfortable we can become with not knowing how, but standing in the commitment to reaching and stretching and putting ourselves out to be more than we think we are, that's where success lives. That's all I got to say.
Thank you for that. And we are at the top of the hour. Thank you so much, guys. This has been a wonderful mastermind, listening to all of you, everyone, all of you. In closing, does anyone have any last thoughts or something they would like to share? Anyone? Go ahead, Russ.
Prayers, love, and light for your sister, Lisa. God love you. God bless her. And I'm all for her and whatever she's committed to, I say right on.
Yes, Lisa. And thank you so much, Lisa, for being in this mastermind. Nice meeting you. Same thing with you, Suzanne.
Thank you.
And follow all of you for your great shares. And I hope you come back next week. Thank you again. If there's nothing else that anyone.
Val had something, I think.
Oh, Val? Okay, go ahead, Val. Sorry.
Yes, I just say some word from my mentor, Bob Proctor, but be radical. Be radical.
Be radical.
Yes, be radical.
Be radical. That should be our logo.
Be radical.
Radical.
Well, just remember that faith is believing in something unseen, something you don't see. So
Visualize it.
Visualize it. So believing in something we haven't seen, that's where we're going from here. So Val, sorry.
You got frozen.
He's frozen.
She's frozen.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a picture of this. Send it to her.
Oh yes, take a picture of this.
I'm sending it to her. Look at your glamour shot here.
Oh my gosh.
Val.
Thank you.
Lisa,
right.
Lisa,
Thank you so much.
Bye, everybody. God
Lisa,
bless.
See you next
Bye.
week.
Thank you for
Bye-bye.
having me.
Bye. Thank you, Susan, for being here.
Sure.
Lisa,
Thank
rooting
you.
for your
Thank you so much,
sister.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.